What's up, guys? 1-1 yesterday. A slight loss. Whether you won or lost, I think kind of depended on where you got those numbers because those numbers changed a little bit after I did the morning video, and they actually moved a little bit against both plays. I think so. Maybe I didn't quite get the best number on those, so maybe it's possible I could have gotten out of there with like closer to a break even or a slight win, but still it was like a very slight loss. But the under in the Dodgers Pirates game, very easy win, 1-0 game. That one, no sweat at all. San Diego Padres, debatably, they should have come through on that one. That was a close game. It was like 1-1 into the sixth inning or something like that. Mazur did not have a bad start, really, for his major league debut. He got out of there. He went 6 innings, I think, and only gave up 1 run. But he did walk 4 guys, which isn't great. But still, he limited the damage almost completely. And then it came down to the bullpens, and the Padres bullpen gave up 3 runs and wound up losing the game 4-3, despite the Padres out-hitting Anaheim 7-5. Anaheim scored 4 runs on 5 hits. You usually do not see that. Padres out-hit them. Padres gave up, they left 8 base runners on base. They left 8 men on base. That's just bad, too. Padres were getting some guys on base and not getting them around to score. And Anaheim, you could argue, well, but Mazur walked some guys. Yeah, but those guys didn't come around to score. So once it got into the later part of the game, it could have been the Padres game. It just didn't happen. Anaheim, their bullpen actually out-dueled the Padres bullpen, which not something I totally expected. Camera issues again. I should just start using StreamYard for this shit. This is like completely ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Why is this happening? All right, let's move on to today. We have a full baseball card today, and I'm really limiting this to one specific play that I like here. No messing around here. Let's just get it done. This is going to be a first 5-inning play. I'm going back to Dodgers Pirates again because I like getting involved with these Pirates. Yeah, getting involved. Ooh, that's hot. With these Pirates, young starting pitchers who I think are good. And, of course, it's going to be Paul Skeens in this one. I think we're getting a little bit of an edge on this one, man. But the odds makers are kind of telling you what you should think a little bit in this one and telling you that the first 5-inning bet is actually stronger. There's a better chance that Pittsburgh covers that or wins that than the full game. Full game, looking at the market, we see the Dodgers very public. They're the LA Dodgers. They have one of the best records in baseball. Everybody knows they're one of the best teams in baseball. That's all true. They're one of the biggest market teams as well. Yeah, the Dodgers, typically they're going to be public, and typically you're not going to find that much value on them. 83% of the tickets on the Dodgers, only 82% of the cash. But we see Pittsburgh full game, they were lined as a -109 favorite, if you want to call it. Then they've gone up a little bit to -112. So on the full game, Pittsburgh, we've seen some reverse line movement on the Pittsburgh side, moving them up a little bit against pretty heavy public action on the other side and the majority of the cash being on the other side, but less of the cash in the tickets. I think what we're seeing there, of course, is reverse line movement. That means some of the legitimate money might actually be coming in on the Pirates side. And even more interestingly, because I am going to make this a first 5-inning wager, and what we see here is that Pittsburgh, even though they're only between -112 and -120 in the full game, the money line on the first 5-inning bet is -140 to -145. So odds makers are telling you something there. They're telling you Pittsburgh has a stronger edge with the starting pitching matchup than they do in the full game. And unfortunately, I agree with that because it means we have to get a little bit more creative, and maybe we're not getting as good a number as we quite want. But looking at the game here, I don't trust Pittsburgh's bullpen, man. That's the problem. They had a big win yesterday, and I don't know if I trust them to completely finish off this game, although I do at least trust them with the starting pitching matchup enough that I think hopefully they're going to have the lead at that point in the game, and then maybe, okay, if the bullpens wind up blowing it later, that's a little bit of a better situation. So yesterday, Pittsburgh used 3 of their relievers. They used all their better relievers, basically. They used Holderman, the very aptly named Holderman, who is one of their hold men. He came in and got a hold after Jones had a pretty good start. Again, both starters had pretty good starts yesterday in this game. Then Aroldis Chapman. Everybody knows he's still a pretty good reliever. He's Chapman. He's one of the better relievers on the Pirates staff, even though their bullpen has struggled a bit. And they use Bednar to close the game out, who I think has been functioning as their closer. Pittsburgh, so they've used some of their better relievers who won't be available today. And I just don't think Pittsburgh's bullpen is really that great, so I don't trust them as much. Dodgers only used 2 of their relief men yesterday, and it was in a situation where they were losing all game 1-0. So Pittsburgh had to use their better relievers to finish that game off and get a big win over the Dodgers, whereas the Dodgers could kind of save the rest of their bullpen for the later games in the series a little bit. That and their bullpen actually still kept them in the game, too. They just couldn't hit yesterday. So bullpen situation, because Pittsburgh used 1 more reliever than the Dodgers did, and they used some of their better relievers yesterday, I'm actually going to take them out of the equation. Going to go to the starting pitching matchup in this one and take Pittsburgh. The way I'm actually going to do this is lay the run line in the first 5 innings. You can lay minus half a run, and you can actually get it anywhere from plus 100 to minus 110 right now, it looks like. So you can get that at even money, and that's kind of where I think the value is actually going to lie in this one. So that's the way I'm going to play this one, and hopefully Pittsburgh will have the lead through 5. And looking at the starting pitching matchup, it's kind of why I like this, man. James Paxton, you have a big age difference here. James Paxton's pitching for LA, and I think the recreational bettors on first glance, it's going to look like Paxton is like a pretty good pitcher. I mean, he does have some name recognition. People think of him as a good pitcher, but that was like a while ago when he was on Seattle, and I'm not even sure he was as good as people think he was even back then. And then I saw him pitch on the Red Sox when he was on my team, and not impressed, sorry to say, even though I think he actually had one of his better seasons when he was on the Red Sox. Or no, excuse me, he did not. What am I saying? No, he wasn't that good there either. But I don't know. He had struggled a couple of years prior to that, so it made me think, he actually improved a little bit. But his career stats just aren't really that good, man. In his career, I mean, decent 3.67 ERA and 1.23 WHIP, decent strikeout rate, over 9 per 9 innings, and walk rate has always been kind of high, man. And that's what I'm going to kind of get at now that he's towards the back end of his career. His stats are definitely slipping from what they were. So he did have a couple of spots during his career where he had a couple of really good seasons way back in like 2017, 2018 with Seattle, basically. Those 2 seasons were his really good ones. But other than that, really kind of like just an okay pitcher. This season, 3.29 ERA and 5.0 record. That's going to look good to the recreational bettors. But then if you dig deeper, he's got a 1.38 WHIP this year. So he's putting a lot of guys on base, man. So that's not good. Looking at that to begin with. Then looking at what he's done otherwise, he's given up 44 hits in 52 innings, so that's good. He's limited the hits, but other than that, his stats are not good, dude. He's given up 28 walks in that span. So even though the amount of hits is really low, his WHIP is still insanely high because he's walked so many guys this year. His walk numbers have just been unbelievably high. He's walked at least, let me see, what are we looking at here? I was looking at some wrong walk numbers there, excuse me. So he's actually gotten better with the walks actually in the recent like month or so, where he had 3 outings where he didn't walk anybody, whereas before that he had walked at least 3 in all but 1 outing. But in some of these outings, he faced some teams that aren't really that great offensively, I guess. I mean, in Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati faced him again right away and beat him after they'd seen him. The Mets, his start was cut short in his most recent start, so I don't know what you can take away from that. I don't know if that was a rain delay or what that was in that one, but he got taken out of the game in that one for whatever reason. And Padres, I mean, I don't know how great their hitting really is, but overall, he's walked 28 guys in 52 innings this year and only struck out 31. So that strikeout walk ratio is really, really bad. Almost a 1-to-1 strikeout walk ratio. That's awful. So he's just not fooling guys anymore, not striking guys out anymore. His control is not very impressive anymore. So that it doesn't look that good for Paxton, man. I think his ERA is kind of masking how not very good he's been this year. He's definitely been a guy who's been putting guys on base, and when that happens, bad things can happen to you. And looking at his stats against Pittsburgh, only 4 of their hitters have seen him before, but they are 4 for 11 off him lifetime with a double, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 2-to-1 strikeout walk ratio, and that amounts to a 364 batting average and 1,417 OPS. So even though some of these guys will be facing Paxton for the first time again, like I said, he's slowing down. He's towards the end of his career, 35 years old, starting to lose a lot on his strikeout ability, it looks like, and his whip is just bad. He's just putting a lot of guys on base, and the Pirates hitters who have seen him before have done well against him. They've had success. So that doesn't look good for Paxton, man. And meanwhile, on the other side, I think you have the advantage, and the odds makers are telling you you do with Paul Skeens, who is, of course, the highly touted rookie for Pittsburgh. He's made 4 starts so far in the majors. Hasn't really faced any like great lineups yet, but he struggled in his first start a little bit, even though they won the game. He went 4 innings, he gave up 3 earned runs, and that one still struck out 7. And then he came back with a no-hit 6-inning performance in the next game against the same team, the Cubs, who had just seen him. So the Cubs didn't even have that advantage, really, having seen him already. He still dominated them in the next game. After that first start, really went 4 innings. He's gone 6 innings exactly in the other 3 starts that he's made. He's got a 30-5 strikeout walk ratio across all 4 of those starts. He's only allowed 3 earned runs or less in every one of the starts. And if you exclude that first start where he was a little bit shaky against the Cubs, he's allowed 2 or fewer in his other 3 starts. 30-5 strikeout walk ratio. Like I said, only 15 hits allowed in 22 innings. So his strikeout rate quite high, well over 1 per inning. He's allowing fewer than 1 hit per inning, not walking a lot of guys so far. 2.45 ERA, 0.91 whip. Although I don't know if he's that much of a secret at this point, but still the betting market, the recreational bettors are ignoring Skeens really. So they still like the Dodgers here. They like the team that has the name recognition and the better record. And I don't know if some of them really know who Skeens is at this point. Maybe he's still flying under the radar a bit. This is the type of situation where you kind of want to play one of these like really good like rookie pitchers like this who you know has really good stuff because they're flying a little bit under the radar against a team that kind of overshadows them as far as how good that other team is. So that's a spot where you can find some value on a guy like Skeens. That's what I'm doing here. And then, of course, the Dodgers hitters have never seen him before. So you have a pitcher that has really good strikeout stuff, really good stuff as a rookie, and these hitters haven't seen him before in a live game environment in the majors. Skeens only 22 years old, too, so he's 13 years younger than his opposing starting pitcher in this one. I think Skeens has got the advantage, man. He's got the youth. He's got the advantage of these hitters not being familiar with him, so they're not going to know what to expect, which hopefully will give him an edge the first couple times through the lineup, which seems like it's worked so far in his rookie season so far in a small sample size, though, a few starts, whereas Paxton, I already described it, man. I mean, he's definitely losing steam in his career, and his underlying metrics this season are just not very good. And his stats against these Pittsburgh hitters that have seen him before also not good. So that's what I'm doing. I'll take the bullpens out of the equation for the reasons I mentioned earlier in the video, and that's the only play today is the Pittsburgh Pirates first 5 innings run line minus a half run. Hopefully they have the lead, man, after the first 5 at plus 100. Can get it at even money. So I like that better than laying a price here on the money line, the minus 140 money line for the first 5 innings. I won't blame you if you do it. I mean, I like the Pittsburgh side in general. The market looks like it's indicating on the Pittsburgh side in general, but that's on full game. I also am not totally opposed to playing at full game. I just don't trust Pittsburgh's bullpen enough to really want to do it, but there's no way that I would play the Dodgers in any capacity in any of these. I would lean to Pittsburgh for the side and just find some way to play it, basically. And I think, personally for me, I think this is the best way to play and the best value where you can get even money on that first 5. And I think they have more of an edge in the first 5 than they do once the bullpens get involved. So that's going to do it for me, man. Have a good one. Peace.